Peace. All praise and glory to the mighty Most High, our Creator, who is one God. There is none like him, none to the left, none to the right, and none that sit upon the right hand of authority. To him all praise, to him all glory, to him all worship. There is none. You understand? There is none beside the Spirit. The self-existing eternal Spirit says that there is none beside him. And I have learned what the Revelation 13:18 means, and I have broken it down over and over and over, and I have helped the people understand what an image of God is. Okay, we're rolling through Exodus here, moving through it, and there's a lot of things that are being commanded from the Lord. Okay, this is a great chapter. Okay, you're starting to see inconsistencies, and you're starting to understand now through the lessons that I'm sharing with you that there is a supreme creator, the self-existing eternal spirit, which uses a host system. He's created a host system. He created a host system with no spirit on them. They're just images. They're phantoms. They're ghosts. And then he created another man, and he breathed the breath of life into his nostrils. And everything that is living or comes to be of the living comes through Adam and Eve. You must repent, and you must turn back to the Lord with an earnest heart and love him. We're here at Exodus chapter 23, and first verse, do not spin false reports or spread false reports. You know why this is so on me? Because of what I went through with the police department and them beating me down in a parking lot, because I had this revelation, and I knew all of a sudden when God put his spirit on me that I realized at that very moment that mankind, me, myself, was a rotten piece of shit. I am accountable for my own sins. That's what you have to be. You have to be accountable for your own sins. Most people out there don't really think anything of the sin. Zero thoughts of the sin itself. It's mind-blowing. So these people, they filed false reports on me. The police filed false reports on me. The witnesses filed false reports on me. The victim said that who was victimizing the thing because I said that she was a lesbian. They all bared false testimony against me. Okay? Now I'm going to burn for a lot of my own sins and stuff. But now I understand that those that lied against me are going to burn for that, because all liars will find their way to the lake of fire. This is why it's so critical for everybody to repent to the Creator, the self-existing eternal Spirit of truth, the living God. The eternal self-existing Spirit, the living truth, Spirit of God. Do not help guilty person by being a malicious witness. That's what they all were. They were all malicious witnesses. I was set up. This plane of existence literally has people, government officials, spending millions and millions of dollars that stalk people with valued information to this world that can save people's souls. They stalk us. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I told my family all of this. They all seem to think that I was the problem. And guess what? I ain't going to bend to anybody's will but my Creator's will today. I serve the Creator. I serve the Spirit of truth. Okay? I don't care what anybody thinks. And that's true freedom. To be able to thumb your nose up to everybody. Right? Anybody who isn't serving God, if they don't hear this, if I'm teaching this message and you don't want to hear it, then you're thumbing your nose up to God. He's going to fucking deal with you accordingly. Okay? Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd. And do not show favoritism to the poor in a lawsuit. Okay, I got to let you know that when those people went to court against me, and that morning, I'm telling you, out of nowhere, and this is the God's honest truth, there went from nobody standing underneath of that storefront that morning to me pushing a cart to a woman was walking to the front of the store, and I asked her if she'd like me to take the cart, I took the cart from her. She said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "Has everybody stayed safe from COVID?" And she says, "Yes, thank you for asking." And she turned around and she walked off. So I could tell right away she wasn't interested in any conversation about it. But I took her cart and I walked it to the front of the store, and there was nobody underneath of the store other than the cart boy who was returning some carts himself. And then in that moment, I started to walk across the parking lot. I saw a woman walk all the way out to her car. I followed her out to her car. Remember, this is COVID now. We have a law instilled, 6-foot safe social distance. So when she's putting her groceries away in the back of her car, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." I said it twice and didn't get her attention. Or maybe I got her attention and she was just ignoring me. So what I did is, because of the way she was putting her groceries into the car, I walked all the way around to the other side, a nice, safe social distance, and I got her attention that way. I spent about 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes. I saw her, spent about 45 seconds to a minute talking to her, walked back across the parking lot over there, talked to a man, could tell that he wasn't interested in talking about it or anything, so I turned around, and then I was standing at the storefront. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there were at least 30 people standing under that storefront like ghosts. All of them just standing there and staring at me, stalking me. All of them. They came out of nowhere. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life, man. It was like a Twilight Zone moment. And that's not the first time, but I can guarantee you one thing. It's happened to me twice in my life. The first time I completely clueless. I didn't even see it unfolding or anything. This time I saw it unfolding. Now it'll never happen again. I will be able to identify when I'm being stalked from people, when they're literally like, you know that scene in John Wick where he comes in, he just killed the guy on Winston's property, and Winston's giving him this 24-hour to get away, or an hour or something to get away, and he meets him out in the courtyard, and Winston's talking to him, and he's like, "Why am I still alive, Winston?" And he says, "Because I ordained it." And then he gave this little nod. And then everybody in the courtyard stopped. And they all stared at him for a second. Right? And then all the phones started ringing. Dring, 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 dring. And that's what we live in. That's exactly what we live in. We live in a hive just like that. So that morning when all those people showed up, that was one of those moments where Winston had everybody out in the courtyard and they were all staring at me and watching me. They're showing you in these movies what they're capable of doing. They're telling you straight out that they're all in on it together. All of them. So that all inspired by them telling lies and stuff on me. All right? If you come across an enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it. Return your enemy's donkey or ox. I guess I would return it to be better, as a better neighbor to your neighbor, right? You want to be right. You want to be just. You don't want anybody. You would want somebody even if you guys don't get along. But what I don't like here, man, is the word enemy. Right? If you come across your neighbor's ox or donkey wandering off, if you know this guy's an enemy and it would cause you harm or your family harm and they want to hurt you, okay, I can understand returning an ox to them. But to have any kind of communication with him, he's your enemy. He might see you with the ox that you're returning and try to say you're stealing it from him. "Oh, you're trying to steal my shit?" "No, I'm just trying to bring it back." "Oh, no, you stole it, man." He's your enemy. Why not? He hates you. These people hate. Enemies of God hate, folks. Okay? Return it. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you falling down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure to help them with it. I would do that in a hot second. even with somebody who I did hate. Because that at that very particular moment in time would create a bond even between two people that didn't get along. Look, if you just help somebody save something that is precious to them and they still have a heart on for you, they're a devil, man. That's a demon. You get away from them, you don't want anything to do with them anyways. Okay? Do not deny justice to poor people. Oh, poor people here. Also, this one up here, being malicious, poor suit. Let me see. And do not show favoritism to a poor man in a lawsuit. Hey, why doesn't this say to a poor man or a rich man in a lawsuit? Why is a rich man excluded from here? Because it's a rich man that's trying to put a poor man into the jail. So the rich man doesn't want you to save favoritism to the poor man when it's the rich man that's trying to put him in the jail. That's why it's not there. It's an oxymoron. It's a piece of shit. Don't show favoritism to a poor man. Well, when these evil parasites have created this realm that we live in that creates all this dysfunction and creates people to be poor out there, then yeah, I think that I would show a little bit of favoritism towards a poor man in court. Because I know how the system works. I went through it. I was beaten down for it. It's not bad enough that the cops screwed up and beat me down. They put me in jail for 5 days. They didn't freaking let me out and arraign me until 5 days later. And then they ran me through the ringer for 2 years. There was a complete error in everything, in all stages. The arresting officer screwed up. The jailhouse screwed up by not getting me arraigned within 72 hours. And the court system ran me through the ringer. So it shows the depravity that's taking place in the court system. Okay? So I do show favoritism to a poor man. Nobody knows why that person's poor. No one knows why a person's on the streets, man. The guy could have been beaten by his dad just brutally all of his life, made to feel like nothing, became a piece of shit himself, became drunk, trying to drink his pain and suffering out of it, only making the hole deeper. Okay? Any kind of drug or alcohol or anything that you take in to consume to help you feel better in the long run is going to destroy you even worse. Okay? Okay, do not deny justice to poor people in their lawsuits. Yeah, well, that sounds proper. Have nothing to do with the false charge, and do not have anything to do with putting an innocent or honest man to death. For I will not acquit the guilty. This is huge. God doesn't acquit the guilty, folks. You're going to be judged for what you have done. Do not oppress a foreigner. You yourselves know what it is to be a foreigner. Do not oppress a foreigner, a Gentile. Okay? You yourselves, the Hebrew, the Israelites. You yourselves know what it's like to be a foreigner because you were foreigners in Egypt. Slavery, bondage. It's where you guys got your Stockholm syndrome. You're still in it. Your slave masters, this plane of existence, they still have rule over you because you keep giving it to them. You're the ones that vote them into office, man. The whole voting is a complete sham. You shouldn't vote anybody into office because you're voting evil into office. How many times have you heard somebody in your family or someone you know say, I voted for the lesser of two evils? That's just a brilliant mindset. You're voting for the lesser of two evils. You're voting for evil, period. Okay? There is no lesser. If you're evil, you're evil. There is no lesser evil. Wake up. You're living in a delusion. You're in a Stockholm syndrome. You're in a slave state. The United States of America is a United Snakes of America. They are a slave state. They teach you just what they need in the education system to make you smart enough to run their tools and their equipment, but stupid enough not to be able to find God because they're not teaching anything about it. I'm the only one on the internet right now that I know, and I see a lot of different videos and rooms that talk about 666. A lot of this, but no real answer. I give the answer. Okay, you're in a 666 system, folks. I give the answers. The Sabbath laws. What is it about this 6? I'm always talking about 666 because we live in a 666 matrix. For 6 years, you are to sow your fields and harvest the crops. But on the 7th year, let the land lie, unplowed and unused. Then the poor among your people may get food from it, and they, the wild animals, may eat what is left. Do the same with your vineyards and your olive groves. Okay, 6 years, harvest, and then on the 7th year, you don't do anything with it. Then the poor among you, the poor, who are they talking about? This is my problem, man. Okay, there should be no poor among Israel. So when I see this, it's disturbing to me. No prophet should be above the people that he's leading. Okay? If the people are poor, then the prophet should be poor. If the prophet's rich, then the people should be rich. There shouldn't be anybody poor. And then again, as always, this is always open for speculation. The wild animals may get food from it, and the wild animals may eat what is left, like dogs. Don't dogs get the leftovers? Isn't that what it is? So the wild animals, man, this is probably another hidden parable talking about the Gentiles, and the Gentile dogs may eat what's left. Do the same with your vineyards and your olive groves. 6 days do your work, but the 7th day do not work, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and that the slave born in your household and the foreigner living among you may be refreshed. The slave living in your household. So now you know the Hebrew had slaves of their own. It's right there, man. I just read it for you. Why is a Hebrew making their own people slaves, folks? I know. I think this is why a lot of people don't like the way that I'm doing this Bible. I love it. I love doing the Bible like this because it's proving to people that I'm reading the Bible, first of all. And it shows the inconsistencies of the Bible, second of all. And it really allows me to share a theology to open people's eyes, third of all. There's a lot going on here. So the Hebrews, 6 days do your work, Hebrew, but the 7th day do not work, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and that slave born in your household, and the foreigner living among you. The slave is your own Hebrew brother, and the foreigner living among you is the Gentile. May be refreshed. Be careful to do everything I have said to you. Do not invoke the names of other gods. What are the names of other gods? Jesus, Zeus, Apollo, right? Melchizedek. Okay, these are all Greek mythology gods. Gods given with no beginning and no end. Remember, these are Greek gods, and then you have your your Roman gods, you have your Egyptian gods. Okay? And the Creator is telling you what? Do not invoke the names of other gods or have them heard on your lips. You are not to have the words of other gods on your lips. Well, who are the other gods? The people that you put in power over you. If you understood how complex it was, what I'm sharing with you, that you're putting people in power over you. Okay? This is why you can't vote them into office. 3 times a year, you are to celebrate a festival to me, the Lord. Now, to me, are these the laws? Is this to me? Come on, is this to me? Yahweh? Is this the Yahweh that's giving the command? Okay? Celebrate the festival of the unleavened bread. For 7 days eat bread made without yeast, as I command you. Do this, and at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for in that month you came out of Egypt. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Appear before the Lord empty-handed. So, I'm not to appear before the Lord empty-handed. The Spirit, the self-existing eternal Creator. Does it make any sense to you, a man who loves the Creator so much like I do today, that I have to not come to the Lord empty-handed? I don't. I come to the Lord in prayer. I don't have anything to give to the Lord. He's the one that gives everything to everybody. We don't have anything to give to Him other than worship, praise, glory. That's what you give to the Creator. Give Him what is rightfully His, and keep the words and the names of other gods off your lips. Keep the names of other gods off your lips. We don't even know, so somebody go ahead and write it down. Keep the name of other gods off your lips. We have all these names here. You also have Yah, and you have Yahweh. Okay? Celebrate the festival of the unleavened bread for 7 days. Eat bread made without yeast, as I command you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for it's the month you came out of Egypt. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. That sounds like some Gentile writing right there. Remember, Israelites, brother Gentiles, that when Adam and Eve sinned against the Creator, that they were tossed out into our world. A world of sacrificing that was already going on. A world of murder and everything that was going on. People were dying in this place without any salvation at all. They're going straight to hell. Okay? And then they created this story that God, the Creator, sent somebody to save you from your own sins because you aren't capable of saving yourself from your own sins. What that's really saying is you aren't accountable for holding yourself responsible for your own sins. Celebrate the festival of the harvest with the first fruits of the crop you sow in your fields. You sow in your fields. 3 times a year, all the men are to appear before the sovereign Lord. Okay? What does it say? No one can see my face and live. We're only 10 chapters away from this now. Rolling through it. No one can see the Lord's face and live, so how is anybody going to appear before the sovereign Lord? The sovereign Lord, and then it has to be a man if they are appearing before Him. Because you can't see the Spirit's face and live. Do not offer blood sacrifices to me along with anything containing yeast. The fat of my festival must not be kept until morning. Bring the best of the first fruits from your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a goat in its mother's milk. That sounds pretty disgusting. I mean, you wouldn't even have to tell me to do something like that. I just wouldn't do it. 20. See that I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. So the Lord has sent an angel. 32 in the Strong's Concordance. Angelos, okay, which is a priest, a pastor, or a deacon. Somebody high up in religion, okay? He's sending an angel ahead of you, okay? Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. Well, guess what? Seems to be the entire Hebrew problem. Is all of you seem to keep rebelling against the Creator, the self-existing eternal Spirit. And he will not forgive you your rebellion, since my name is in him. If you listen carefully to all he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies and oppose those that oppose you. And who can be against you when God is with you? I don't know what parable that is, but I know it's in there. Can't remember. Okay. Okay. He will not forgive your rebellion if you listen carefully. I will be an enemy to the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Notice none are light. They're not lights. They're not children of light. All of these are of darkness. And I will wipe them out. The Creator will wipe them out. Do not bow down before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. How come you guys ain't breaking the stones to pieces? How come the Hebrew nation isn't going out there and smashing all of the idols of this world? Why? This is a law. You understand? It says not one jot or not one stroke of the pen or tittle from the law shall something until it is accomplished. Not one stroke of the pen or jot of the law will be removed from the law until it has been completely accomplished. So when idols and stuff start getting crushed and these churches and stuff start getting burnt down, okay, you're seeing a prophecy unfold. Okay? You know damn well when churches start burning down, folks, that prophecies are unfolding, and you better hope that your head is out of your rear end and it ain't anybody else's rear end. Okay, you better pull it together. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessings will be upon your food and water. Well, this is something we all need. This is why the Creator says that when you pray over your food and you bless your food in the Spirit of the living God. Because today, what are they doing? They're poisoning everything. The air, the water, the food, everything that we have. The chemicals, the shampoos, the lotions, all of that shit is all cancerous. All of it. It's what they were trying to tell you in the movie Batman, when the Joker had went around and made all these products, and if you mix this product with that product and this product, next thing you know, you have a bomb on side of you and you got cancer. You get sick. You start dying. That's because of all of the stuff that they give you, that they try to sell you in this fake fantasy world, this material world. Okay? I will take away sickness from you and among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in the land. Now, I know that this is a long time ago, but I will take sickness away from you. So what I'm thinking inside of my head here is those that truly love God, the Hebrew Israelite. Well, number one, they put their faith in God. They don't put their faith in mankind. So most true Hebrew Israelites probably didn't take the shot. But I'm sure that a lot of you did. You know, you had jobs that followed through. There was a reason, there was a purpose. You were forced, you were coerced, you were told that you had to, or you'd lose your life, you lose your living, you lose all that, put you in a bad space, so you may have taken it. But those of you who were forced to take it, I think that this is another thing that's going to backfire on the Gentile, as the shots that they've been given to the children of God are going to have no effect on them. And the ones that they're going to have an effect on are the Gentile themselves. Remember? They dig their own snares is what the Bible's telling us. So if you're digging a ditch trying to make others fall, then the very snare, the ditch that you've dug, you are going to fall into yourself. So you, the nation here, has been jacking the Gentiles up with this vaccine, and you're gonna pay for it. It's gonna happen over the next 20 years. Okay, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be just like the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith. Man, that's what that vaccine is. We're not gonna know about our younger kids until they become adults and they start laying down with one another. What's gonna start coming out of them? Yeah. Something that you should consider. Something different may be coming out of these children, if they're not sterile from it 10 years later. An 8-year-old kid taking the vaccine, and then 10 years later they're not capable of reproducing because of that shot. I will give you a full lifespan. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. Now, I've done many lessons, and we all know that when it says nation, that it's talking directly about the United Nations. Okay? They are the beast nations. Give me 1 second. I had to sneeze. These are the nations are the United Nations. The United Nations are the Gentile nations. Okay? And the Gentile nations, we all know, are jinn, in flesh. Okay? And he is going to throw them in confusion. Every nation, every Gentile, every person that isn't serving the Creator, he's going to throw in complete confusion. You're not going to understand the lessons that I'm sharing with you. You're not going to get 666. You're just going to go on blindly, like many of the videos I show you, walking as one of the dead. You are the walking dead. I will make your enemies turn their backs and run. I will send the hornets ahead of you to drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites out of your way. But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the animals too numerous for you, until you have increased enough to take possession of that land. Again, the wild animals. Whenever we're talking about wild animals, hidden meaning here is the beast of the field. This is how Satan has written himself in the Bible. He's hidden himself inside of this Bible, calling himself the wild animals. trying to make you think that it's livestock. It's something out there in the wild animal kingdom. No, it's the wild animals, it's the creatures, it's the demons, it's the devils, it's the satyrs, it's the goat demons, it's everything that's in the cities. Okay? The wild animals are the Gentile. Little by little I will drive them out before you until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. Again, drive who out? Drive them out before you. Who? The wild animals. I will drive the wild animals out before you until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and to the deserts to the Euphrates River. I will give into your hands the people who lived in that land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with their gods. Again, this is probably about the half dozen time now that gods has been used in the Bible. The first time that gods is used in the Bible is when that man created on the sixth day of creation waltzed his really slyly, surreptitious, sneaky, sly ass into the garden and coerced Eve into eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And he says, is it true that God said that you cannot eat from any tree in the garden? And he knew what he's doing. So she replied, no, it is not true. The Lord said that we may eat from any tree in the garden, but the tree that is in the middle of the garden, the midst of the garden, you shall not eat from or touch, or you shall surely die that day. And then he goes on, the serpent, to say, surely you shall not die. He lied, didn't he? Surely you shall not die, he said. For the Lord knows in the day that you eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and ye will become as gods. And this is your problem, is Egypt, Babylon, America, the United Nations, they all, those that are in power, consider themselves gods. And this is why the Lord, the Creator, the self-existing eternal one, said way back in 12:12, that I shall make an end of all the gods in Egypt. You're going to get wiped out. Egypt is America. You understand that? Any nation that has put us into a slave state is a united nation. They're only here for their own pockets, to profit themselves, their families. Nothing changes. It's all in the family. You understand? They're all in the family. Do not let them live in your land, because they're diseased and liars and parasites and fornicators and idol worshippers. And they will cause you to sin against me, because their worship of your gods will because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. I don't know how I wrote there in there. Or your gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. United Nations, again, is the Gentile nations. The Gentile nations are Gen nations. The Gentile nations are an imagination, which is I'm a magi nation. I'm a magi nation. I am a magic nation. This man here that's created in an image is a magic man. The imagination is magic. The wool has been pulled over our eyes, all of our eyes. I'm as guilty as anyone else. I pray every time I throw a piece of plastic in the garbage, every piece of styrofoam that goes in from the meat, from the butcher shop, we are all guilty in this hive of destroying this earth, all of us, as a hive, guilty of it. The only way that it can stop is if you stop consuming. That's it. There's no other way to break free of this reality. You got to stop thinking that everything out in that world you need. I need it, man. You don't need anything in this world but the bare necessities. That's all you need is the necessities. All right, folks. Well, there you go, man. That's Exodus 23. All praise and glory to the mighty Most High, our Creator, who's one. If you'd like, we can go out in prayer. I'd appreciate that for anyone who's hanging out and listening. All praise and glory to the mighty Most High, our Creator, who is one God. You are the living God, the supreme, self-existing, eternal Spirit of truth. Please, my Creator, place your Spirit upon me, those that may be listening. If you have placed your Spirit upon me, please, always, always, please keep it upon me. I seek you today with an earnest heart, a broken ego, a humble man. I love you with each ounce of blood that pumps through my veins, every cell and fiber that comprises me of flesh. I submit to you humbly on my knees, crying out, begging you for forgiveness. I've walked contrary to your laws, your commandments, and I know that I must be punished. I only ask you on that day of judgment that you will lift me from the fire, and that you will only burn my iniquities from the meat suit that I wore, and bring me back home so that I can worship you. I ask all these things only in your almighty power, my Creator, the supreme, self-existing, eternal one, a Spirit. This is White Raptor News Ministries. Peace.